Welcome to the second episode of our awsctl. I'm just checking if the live is okay on YouTube, and then I think it's live. That's perfect. And let me check on LinkedIn as well. Okay, adjusting the mic. Even Yeah, okay, perfect. I think we are live. Cool. So I'll share my screen as well. Window. To Perfect. So in the last stream, the previous stream, where we saw the bootstrapping of any open source project. So basically, we created the repo. We added the license type as well, which we wanted. So basically, we added Apache license 2.0. Then, hello Ritesh. Then we bootstrap the project with the help of Cobra CLI. So let's go in the code as well, and then we just added few basic commands, and we concluded the last stream. So in this stream, what we are going to do is, the commands that we have added, we'll try to add AWS SDK and make a call and see how that happens, right? Before that before that what you need is, you need an AWS account, the first thing. And the key needs, the all the authentication needs to be set up properly. So cool, that's there. So let's go through the code base that we did last time. So while bootstrapping, it created this main.go, and it also created a cmd directory which has various commands. The first one was root, uh, root.go, which is our root command, which is awsctl, as you can see here. Then the other command, which was we supposed to do awsctl get ec2 or get s3 or awsctl version, right? Now, one thing I remembered, currently I don't have my keys and things set up. So what we can do is, we'll just go over the commands that we have, update their description and stuff, try to add some flags, and yeah, let's see how that goes. Again, if you have any questions, do let me know. I think I didn't get much time to set up the IAM role and stuff, but I still wanted to do the stream. That's okay. We'll schedule the another stream soon, and then we'll add that. But okay, no problem. Uh, cool. So the root command did have some description and stuff. The get command, now here we will say get AWS resources. Here long description will be get AWS resources. And for example, we can add some examples here, such as we can say AWS get EC2, AWS get S3, and like that. Dun, 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 dun. Nice. That's the command, and we will need to add some function as well. Okay. So currently in this command, like what's exactly happening here is this is just a struct cobra dot command which we are defining. It has various things. If we go inside the command struct, we have various things such as use, which is the command name. The short means very short is the short description. The long means long description, which you see when you list when you do the hyphen h help. What else is there? There is run. Now let's look at what run is doing. Run. uh, where is run? Yeah, here. So this is the actual work function, basically what it should do when you run that particular command. So here we have a like straight away function defined here which says get called. Right now, if we try to build it, go build. Okay, awsctl main dot go get. It says get called, right, which is written here. Now if we just say, hello world, and if we build it again, it will say hello world, right? But this kind of function, which is like an inline function here, it's not really handy. So in that case, what we can do is we can use a run e, and where you will pass the function name. Okay, and then you can define that function somewhere else. So what we can do here is we can simply say, okay, func get function, and that function will have this input, basically the command and all the arguments, and it will return the error. So for now, if we just type nil, now here instead of this, what we can do is we can say run e, and we can just say get function. Now we don't need this run. Okay, and here let's say we'll just print saying this is get command. Okay, now if we go build again and awsctl get, it will say this is the get command. So this is very helpful. Now there are few other things which you can add, which is pre-run and post-run. That means when you are running this command, like what should happen before running this command or after running this command, right? Now this is helpful when, let's say you want to run a particular operation after every time you invoke the command, or you want to print something every time after you invoke the command. So that's where they comes handy. Will come to that part as well. Now similarly, okay, what's happening here? Okay, here similarly we updated some help section as well. Now if you do hyphen. Oh, okay. It has to be dot slash because I haven't put it in a path, right? Now, if you can see, oh, that's for the root command. AWS get. Now, if you can see, like similar to, like, the goal is to have a kubectl style, right? So you can see this is now saying get AWS resource, and we have, oh, instead of AWS CTL we wrote AWS. Okay, fine. Build it, and if we do it now, you will be able to see what we updated. Well, if you have any questions, do let me know. Cool. That's more about it, and we can see, like, the available commands that we have. So in this case we have ec2 and get command. Okay, so that's perfectly fine. Let's go to ec2. We don't need a longer description, but instead we can just say an example, like aws ctl get ec2. Perfect. And then there will be same for S3. We'll say, for example, awsctl get S3. And it has this run as well again. Okay. Now what I will do is I will keep talking, but I will stop sharing the screen because I am now setting up the AWS stuff which is needed. Let me log in here. Yes. Dollar. Let me. Okay, I think I should have done this beforehand, but it's okay. It's okay. Okay, here we go. Perfect. So nice. I think I have the AWS stuff set up on my machine, which I just tested. It's working. Now we can go to the next part, which will be interesting, is actually defining the AWS SDK. I don't have any resources at the moment in the AWS, but we'll just define and see what is needed and how to implement. Okay. Now, if you search for AWS SDK Golang v2, which is the new one, and it's the developer guide, we'll go to the section where all the developer documentation is as well. But for this, we will only need the getting started, where we just define stuff and just initialization. Okay. So that's cool. So we have already done the go mod init and all stuff. So we'll just do go get and the AWS SDK v2. Okay. Okay. We have added that. Then we'll do for the config package as well. Okay. Now, once this is done, we can do the go get based on the service we want, right? For example, S3 or EC2. So in this case, they are using S3. We'll just go with the same, and eventually we'll add more as per our need. I think I didn't copy it properly. the simplicity, I'll do this. Let's copy this. Okay, perfect. Now we have all the things which are installed. I have already set up the AWS keys, so that should be fine. You can follow this doc to create the access key ID and secret access key, right? Be careful with it and do not share with anyone. Now, this is the interesting part where we will actually do some operation around it. Now, what's happening here in this code? Basically, this particular section, as in Golang, everyone knows we import the library with the import statement. Here what we are doing is we are basically loading the config, right? Now, similar to how it happens in with the kubectl, it looks for a kubeconfig file, it looks for a kubeconfig file, the environment variable which is kubeconfig file. Similar to that, this particular load default config also does the same. It looks for .aws config, or it will look for the various environment variables, such as this one, like aws underscore access key id or aws underscore secret access key and all those, right? Then we define a client which is very specific to that service. Now in this case we are using S3, so it will be s3.new from config. When we will work with the EC2, it will be EC2 from new from config. uh, if it is EKS, we'll do EKS.new from config, right? So on those lines, it will work. And then similar to how we list something in a using a client going Kubernetes is the similar. Then from that client we can call APIs, different APIs like a list object, list bucket, and all those things. And then perform some operations. Okay. I think I am little distracted because I'm trying to log in to my AWS account here. Let me try. Okay, perfect. That's on my other screen, so you won't be able to see that. Perfect. So I'm just creating one bucket on the side, so we can use that bucket to list things. So disable and create bucket. Perfect. That's going on in the side. Now let's copy this particular code and use it in our. Okay, think this thing don't want to work today uh, with me, which is okay. What's happening here? Can't understand. Oh my god. Okay, fine. uh, Let me. Not very comfortable with Mac, so that's why this thing happening. Okay, perfect. So we'll go to the S3 now. Similar to what we did in get, like we wrote a function, similar thing we will do here. We'll say run e, and we'll write a function which will be get s3. Okay, we'll rename the function later and rename it to something meaningful. Yes, error. S3, save. and for now we'll just do return nil. Okay, cool. Now we'll start to add this functions uh, to our code. The very first thing we'll need to do is, as we mentioned, the load the config file. So I already put the environment variable, so that should be fine. Then and as you can see, we already did the go get on the required uh, packages, so they will be automatically added. Now next thing is creating this client. We created the client as well, and the next thing is actually doing some operations around it. Right now we'll explore that. Now if you do client dot uh, you will, in auto completion, you will be able to see all the functions that we need. Right now in awsctl get s3, we are more interested in listing the buckets. Okay, so there has to be a list bucket something, right? So list buckets, right? There is list bucket, there is list objects as well, which will list object inside the bucket. But for this particular command we are interested in list bucket, so list bucket. Now we have to pass the context. We'll explain in much detail what context is, but for now I will write context to do. But one thing we can do is, we are using context here as well and here, so instead what we will do is we'll define once context to do and cth, and we'll define here as well. Right. And what is the next thing? Next thing is list buckets input. So for now I'll keep it empty, and then we will see what are the inputs we can pass. Okay, and then we'll get some output and error. We'll handle the error as well. Now I don't prefer to use log.fatal, but we'll come to that later. What can we do to optimize? But for now, I'll just use log.fatal. Easy. Then, as I said, let's go inside this list bucket input and see what it needs. So it doesn't really need anything, because this thing is very specific to package, but like unlike other options, there's nothing mentioned, so we don't need to pass anything. Okay, now we have this output. Now if we explore this output dot, we'll see what it is returning. It is returning a buckets, which is a list of buckets, the owner of the bucket and owner id and all other things. We are, as I said, we are interested in list of buckets. Okay, so what we will do now is we'll write a for loop to range over the buckets and print some information. Okay, I dot name of the bucket, and are we interested in any other thing? For now we can print the creation date as well. Okay, so very basic. Let's see what it does. Okay, now we'll go to our terminal. Let's build it. Now if we do get s3, you can see it printed some hash and the date, right? Date and time, basically that was the creation date thing, and this is the hash. So we were expecting to print the name of the S3 bucket, but it is printing some pointer. why it is doing that, and the reason for that is, if you can see, this name field is a pointer, is a reference point to the string. So do that, AWS has a helper function where what you can do is AWS dot to string. Okay, it takes this pointer and it, oops, and it gives you a string. Now save this. Now we will make this again, and let's run this command, and now you can see it printed the bucket name and the creation date. Now even this information is quite useful if printed in a nice tabular format, right? Now we will print this information in tabular format, and then we will stop the stream. Okay, now to print in the tabular format, I would like to use one of the example which I keep using in my other projects as well. And is that here? No. Okay, it's here. So basically, to print in a nice tabular format, we will use this standard library called tab writer. We'll just copy paste this example which is here, and then we will format it to as per our need. Okay, so before this for loop, we'll define this. Okay, so whenever you define this tab writer, we have to make sure that we are deferring this flush. Okay, now in our case, created at, okay, that's what we need. And inside the for loop, we need something like this. Instead of our basic println statement, I dot creation it. Nice. Now let's build again. Now I'm running this build command again and again, so I think we will add a make file as well. If we can contribute to this make file, that would be helpful. So should do AWS get S3. We again forgot the AWS or to uh, nice. So we managed to print the bucket along with its date time, which was intended. You can see the help section as well. We'll add more information, but for now, we managed to list the bucket. Right now, S3 is a, like, if you go inside the AWS console, in the region section you will see global, so we don't really need to pass the region to list it, right? But in other commands we will need to pass the region as well, and for that we will implement the region flag. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Sorry for the inconvenience. uh, I I should have set up my AWS before, else we could have done more. But I think that's fine. So just to recap, we went over the AWS SDK v2 that we had. We defined the S3 client, and we managed to print the S3 bucket. Okay, and we also went over the get command, and we also learned, like, instead of a basic run that we have, something similar, we can actually write run e and just put the name of the function and define that function separately and add more things to it, right? So I think that's pretty much of it. I will create some basic issues on this repo, such as adding the make file and stuff, and which I will try to add throughout the week as well. But if you are interested, feel free to contribute it, and if you need any help, do let me know as well. I will push this code just right after this stream. Uh, Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.